Okay, now we want to talk about, we talked about the cell membrane. What is right within the cell membrane and outside the cell membrane? We call it cell environment interactions. Glycoproteins and proteins of the glycocalyx. The glycocalyx is basically that fuzzy carbohydrate layer on the outside of a cell membrane. We're speaking of cell adhesion molecules, membrane receptors, and cell determinants, known as CDs. Okay. The membrane cell adhesion molecules, we'll start with that, are molecules on the outside of the cell. They're called integrins and CAMs. Integrins are special transmembrane or even peripheral protein that attach cells to the extracellular environment. What they do, they anchor cells to the extracellular matrix. They also assist in movement because they can move around and assist the cell by grabbing onto this environment to help it move within the tissues. So we will be talking more as time goes on about molecules that adhere the cell to the surrounding environment outside the cell, CAMs. Another thing that we have in the cell are receptors. Receptors receive signals from like hormones or something else, chemical signals, in order for the cell to communicate with another cell. And then we have in the cell these secondary messenger proteins we'll talk about that allow a cell to communicate with another cell and turn something on within the cell membrane to make the intracellular activity. So cell A talks to cell B. But when you're talking to a cell, you really want to talk to the nucleus of the cell. Now you can't, in many cases, you can't get to the nucleus. If you're not lipid soluble, you can't get into the nucleus. So you would hook to a receptor and turn on internal chemicals that would then communicate. And we call those secondary messengers. Why? The first messenger was this coming in. Remember, a ligand is any substance that can bond to a receptor. That's the first. But then you make a secondary, like a butler, to go on the inside because you, as the ligand, cannot go all the way in and go into the nucleus. So we call that, so in other words, a secondary messenger. All right, and you can kind of glance at that to just get an idea. All right, so our next will be the cytoplasm. Inside the cell is the fluid known as the cytoplasm. Within that you have the little organs, ELLE, that we'll be talking about, and then some things that aren't surrounded by a membrane. So here are your cytoplasmic organelles. Now what I'd like for you to do, make a little chart. What is the organelle? What's its structure? And what does it do? That's the easiest way to do this. So some of these organelles, see, within the eukaryotic cells, you have an endomembrane system. You have your cell membrane, and then you have membranes around certain organelles. Like these here have a membrane around them. These don't. They're still inside the cell, and an organelle is a little organ. E-L-L-E in Latin means little. So our first organelle inside a cell will be the nucleus, and we'll do that in another video.